somebody is looking at everything that you do
Mm-hmm.
and they're being influenced by it. Whether they know your name or they don't know your name. The way we walk outside on the street, they say perception is everything, right? We both know perception doesn't really mean anything without understanding. But there is power in the things and how we move, how we act, what we say, how we say it. There's a lot of power in that. So how could we mold ourselves to be present, one, and also to show up the way we're supposed to show up?
Right, okay. Welcome, podcast listeners. It is your host, Bashir, also known as Base, and we are here on episode 9 of Fresh Pete Podcast. Today, I have a entrepreneur, a founder, as well as a fellow podcaster here today with me. His brand is called Everybody is Somebody, and his mission is to make people feel important, to make them feel heard, and that's his mission. Today, I have here with me Tirus Duncan. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor to have you here. You know, when I first initially met you, it was through Jashawn and Mr. Wright, through their podcast, Desires Everything. And I mean, I think you left that room. You left that room, everyone felt light, but then it's like, dude, you made an impact in that room. Like to the extent where Mr. Wright is like, man, this brother just got so much wisdom. Like that's all I kept hearing during the podcast episode. I think that was my initial meeting of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we took photos at the end. And I was just happy to be there. Like I had to take a picture with you, Jay, and just all three of us on the couch at the studio.
Yeah, I
so it
remember
was
that.
Yeah, it was exciting. But yeah, so Tirus, man, on this podcast, it's all about perspective. I see that, it's 8 billion people here in the world.
Mm-hmm.
However, I come to find that you have a very unique perspective, given that you started a brand, an organization, and that mission is to make people feel heard, feel seen. So can you tell me, where does that stem from?
It stems from knowing what it's like to not be seen or to not be heard, or at least feel like you're not being seen or you're not being heard, and the desire to have that void filled. So I'm like, I know with me feeling that, and I know I'm a special person, so I know if I'm feeling that, I know there are a bunch of other people out here feeling the same thing. And entrepreneurship is nothing but problem solving. So when you see a problem, you create the solution to solve the problem, and that's all I did. Say, okay, this is a problem that I'm facing, and I know many other people may be facing the same problem. So let me create a solution so we can try to put an end to this problem that we're all going through.
So it stems from your own feeling.
Absolutely. It stems from my own insecurities, per se, of not feeling like I'm enough, not feeling like I'm doing enough things to be of value. One time I was just looking at myself in the mirror. I was like, wait a minute. I can't do anything more to be of value. And I can do things that add to my value, but I am valuable because I am. And I want other people to understand that they are valuable because they are too. And we'll get to promoting or to extending the value after people first understand that no matter what they do or who they are, their life has value, because that's the foundation. First, you have to believe that you can.
Yeah, man, and that unique perspective, I really like that, and I think the world needs to hear more of it, which is why I created this platform.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I shot Deshaun first episode. I'm like, dude, I got to get Tyrus soon. I knew I was going to get you on here, whenever schedules made sense, obviously. But with that said, it's like, I'm glad that you're here. You made it. And please, people, man, get your notebooks out because this is a wise man here. And I've learned so much just on that episode 15 of Desires Everything, just listening to you. So, I'm just saying, pens, papers, ready, because we about to get into it. But, yeah, so you talked about just that feeling of just knowing what it feels like to not be seen or heard. When did that start?
I'm not sure if I could pinpoint an exact time when it started. I think it's something that, I think all humans go through throughout life. Like from a child, we're looking for the acceptance of our parents. And then that just shifts in the different spaces that we enter. We go from looking for it from our parents. Now we're looking from it from our siblings or our peers or the students at school, the teachers at school. everything we do is trying to prove our value and our worth. And I had to remind myself, or I remember that I don't have to do anything to prove my worth to be worthy of being treated with love, care, and respect. And other people need to understand that.
That's heavy. I this podcast episode couldn't be more timing because that's something that I've been kind of like trying to tell myself and remind myself that just bring yourself. You don't need to do this. You don't have to have all the cameras and film everybody and make everybody feel, you know what I mean? Just bring you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's so dope. That's so dope, man.
Funny thing, you know the movie Shark Tale?
Yeah, Will Smith.
Yeah. There's a scene in that movie, and Will Smith was talking to Angie, and he said, I want to be a somebody. They was looking at the top of the reef where all the, I guess, the rich fish were. Just like how we be looking at the high-rise apartments or those big houses up in Carmel or wherever. We're like, man, I want to be a somebody. I want to be in there. And then he got there. And he realized that he felt better when he was nobody, per se. And he's like, man, it was better where I came from. And I think a lot of us have to become aware of where we are and understand that we have value where we are first. And if you don't see the value that you have where you currently are, you're not going to see the value when you do all these things to become something that you think that you're supposed to be, because it's all under a lie. Now, if you get it real, if you get it truly, then maybe it will feel like it's supposed to feel. Like if you actually get out the mud and you go all the way up. If you get it based upon a lie, just like in that movie, he had to lie to become the shark slayer, to get the high rise, to get the girl, to get everything that he thought that he wanted, just to see in the end that it wasn't actually what he wanted. So to be present in the moment and to realize that we're worthy where we are of being treated with love, care, and respect is my mission. That's my goal, to get people to understand that.
Yeah. Okay, so, a word that comes to me when I after just first meeting you, and then I meet you at the back to school drive, and then maybe I can't remember another time, but every time I run into you, right, I'm like, this is a very empathetic person. Just somebody that's able to understand that's your whole mission.
Yeah.
So does that level of empathy just come from just that, like you said, just knowing what it feels like to not be heard or seen?
I would say so. I know how it feels. So to know how it feels and to not want anyone else to feel like that creates a mission of making sure that people don't feel like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I get it.
That's heavy. So, like, can you tell me about, like, how do you go about, obviously, I check out, you have your platforms where you go and, like I told you, I watched the one with Juju, and, like, you also have the Everybody Somebody. Obviously, you're wearing the Love Everybody hat, which is cool. I like, how did the world, can you talk about the logo? I mean, the love with the world?
Yeah. People ask me that often. I remember the first time I was doing it, I put the world on my basic logo T-shirt, and I was like, man, I'm gonna make the world my logo. And someone was like, you can't do that. I said, you got on Nikes. They logo's a check mark, and you tell me I can't make the world my logo. So I made the world my logo. Because I can do what I want. And also, on top of that, the world is our home. And when you think about a home, and you think about the people in it, you love those people, right?
Absolutely.
It's like that's your family. Those are your siblings, or even if it's your roommates, or even if it's your parents. You love the people who are in your home. So when I look at the world as our home, I ought to love the people who are in my home, which is why the hat say love everybody, because everybody is in my home.
Okay, I had to let that just sit real quick. Yeah, that was heavy, man.
Yeah, the earth is our home, man. It's our home.
Yeah, so man, trying to get back to focus here. So, like, me personally, right? Like, I felt like my mission, right, is to, it also stems from that not being seen, not being heard. And I think that's why I picked up the camera. Due to the fact that, like, I watch movies, but it's not, you got your boys in the hood, but I was watching, like, Avengers. I like the, like, sci-fi cool movies, right? Like the action. And I didn't really see us in it until maybe 2018, Black Panther drops.
Yeah.
And then that was, like, the craziest thing. You got everybody rocking, dashikis and so-and-so. So I just I bring that up to say, like, What made you pick up the camera?
I wanted people to see things how I see it.
The lens.
Yeah, you're gonna see the world through my eyes. That's what a camera is doing. You have the opportunity with a camera to show things how you see it, and that's beautiful. To capture a moment that people hope that they never forget, or capture a moment that people hope to remember forever. That's a beautiful feeling. Or even if in some of like my shorter documentaries, like just a one-on-one conversation, one of my favorite ones that I do, I don't think I've ever released it. I played at the drive-in before, but I don't think I ever released it personally. Just going up to people and asking them random questions. Like one of the best ones I did was I went downtown. I was like, "What's the point of life?" Just asking people that, just to get perspective, because perspective is everything. And the better we understand each other, the better we have a chance of empathy, of treating people the way that we want to be treated. So my goal is to get people to see people how I see them, because as you said, I'm a huge empath. I care about people. And I don't think there is any greater feeling than to care about somebody.
No, absolutely. I mean, and one of the things that I really like, and being here in Indy, and I've heard some of the stigmas about the city.
Yeah.
However, I really think that whatever you may say about wherever you're from, not even just Indy, and you think we're just gonna stay positive here. I think people make a place. And with that said, it's like that's what you're doing out here. You're really uplifting the community.
Yeah.
You're making people being seen, heard. And so can you talk about just the impact that you have made with everybody, somebody, maybe even not everybody, somebody, but just like you said, you're going out and asking, what's the point of life? Like, can you talk about just what you've seen, what outcome and feedback that you've gotten from doing?
Yeah, for sure. One question that I always ask people is, how do you want to be remembered?
That's heavy.
And that's not just in a what you do type of idea, but in a basic human interaction. How do you want to be remembered? Like, hi, my name is Base. Then what comes after that? Is it just a passing? You walk past each other and that's it? Or is it, oh man, that person saw me? Because the worst place for anybody to be is unseen. This world is too big for us to feel so lonely. So the impact that I hope to make is that after I interact with people, they're like, wow, he really saw me.
Wow.
Like he didn't just see my outside. He didn't just ask what my name is, but he saw my soul and he asked what my heart was and he listened to me and he was caring and he was empathetic and he actually made me feel as if I was worth it, because too many people make people feel that they're not worth it, and that's where people go off the deep end. So my goal is to not do that and to hopefully impact the next person to do that to the next person, because I don't know if I can change the whole world. I'm not going to get to touch 8 billion people, but I know I can touch one. I know I can touch you with the hopes of you touching somebody else who touches somebody else, and it creates a ripple effect of a world that cares about each other. And you want people in our home, right? Because I said Earth is our home, right? We want people inside of our home to care about each other, because a house divided cannot stand. So we must become united. So every time I try to create any type of experience, I want people to leave, even, whether it be them just talking to me, like even me at work. I can name anything about all 80 of my associates, just so they know that I care about them. And they're more than just a number. And that's important, not only in that space, but in every space I enter. I want people to know that I care.
Just following up what you said, I really, at least from my perspective, my experience meeting, not the first time, but I'll say, especially the second time that I ran into you, I would say it's the back to school drive. If my memory can recall it correctly. I ain't gonna lie, brother. I almost cried after you was like talking to me. I can't really pinpoint everything that we talked about, but I really felt like you hit home when you was just talking to me, and I'm just listening to you. And it's like, man, this brother is, he, you know what I mean? Like the wisdom, the spirituality, you are very unique in your own way. And the individuality, like you are somebody, man, like no pun intended.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing. So just listening to you and like you was talking about just how do you want to be remembered?
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back because I got some learning to do. Like because sometimes I do wake up and Tirus, that's like, it is a passing by for me. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah, same.
Right. And so with that said, it's like, man, okay, so with that said, maybe it's okay for some
It is
things to
definitely
be
okay. Yeah, and I think that one thing I try to remind people, because with me being an empathetic person, or also with me having a brand called Everybody Somebody, no matter what you do, who you are, your life has value. I still have times where I feel valueless. Duality of man, right?
duality.
So it's understanding that there's duality. And I go back to, what is the reason why you created this in the first place, Tyrus? Because you felt like this anyways. So knowing that you felt like this anyways only is a proof of concept as to why what you're doing is important. You're going through it too. I read in a book before, and it wasn't even in the book. It's like at the beginning of the book. I think it was called The 44 Laws of Peace, something like that. And it said, so are you saying that you're healed and I'm trying to say it in a way that people understand it.
I understand.
Basically, it was asking the person if they were healed enough to tell somebody how to live. And they said, no, I'm not saying that I'm totally healed, but I'm saying that we're in the same hospital ward and I'm talking through things that I think that may help both of us. That's where I find myself. I'm not all the way healed. I am healing. And as I am healing, I am sharing what I think may help. I'm not even saying that it's going to help. It's not going to help everybody. Some people tell me I talk too much. Other people pay me to talk. Duality.
Wow. That's, man. Dude, and I kind of lost my train of thought. I knew where I was going to go here. With that said, where was I going to go, man? I'm trying to think. Well, so I'm not going to lie. This is a really hard podcast, man. I'm not going to lie to you. You making this hard. But I like this because it's challenging, because I really want to ask the right questions, right? And I like how you going about it as well. But so can you tell me, you told me about just the impact that you've helped people with, just being seen and heard, right? Creating interviews and like sharing your message, whether it be like you talk too much, but other people pay you to talk. Can you talk about just your because it sounds like a leader. You sound 100% a leader to me. And how has that leadership role for you from the beginning? How has it looked, and then the evolution?
Yeah, I don't think that you get to choose to be a leader. I think you're chosen to be a leader.
I felt that.
God wanted Moses to lead the people out of Israel, right?
Yeah.
Immediately, Moses started naming all of his insecurities. He was talking to God. We talk to each other and we name our insecurities and we get to hide and we get to run. Moses couldn't run from God. He said, Moses, I need you to lead my people out of Egypt. I'm choosing you. Matter of fact, I'm telling you, this is what you're going to do. And Moses was like, I don't know about that. Why don't you call Aaron? He's a better speaker than I am. God is like, I want you. So when you're chosen, you have no choice but to lead wherever you go. So I'm doing nothing but accepting the calling that was put in front of me, even at times where I don't want to. One of my other favorite stories in the Bible is about Jonah. When God called him to go talk to the Ninevites, he's like, I want to talk to them. They did my people wrong. I would have turned my back on them. Matter of fact, I'm going to go as far away as possible to where you telling me to go, just because I can. Just like we be doing, right? We be knowing the calling we have over our lives. We be knowing what we're supposed to do, and we're trying to run as far away as we can from it, whether it be our insecurities, whether it be our own doubt, whether it be our own anger, whether it be frustration, whether it be anything. We try to run away from what we know that we're supposed to do. But God has a way of getting you there. They were on that boat, and the storm was coming, right? That's the important part that I got from this story. I'm like, if I run away from what God has called me to, and not only brings a storm to my life, but it also brings a storm to the lives of the people around me, because I was called and I was chosen. So you accepting your calling is help to lead people out of the captivity. So you got to accept the calling. Then even in that story, Jonah's like, well, I know why this is happening, just because of me. Just throw me off of the boat. Let me die. He'd rather have died and to fulfill his calling that God had called him to. Just throw me off. They threw him off, but God still prepared a way. Put the big fish there, right, to swallow him up. And often when we run away from what we're called for, we feel like we're in that big fish. We call it depression, right?
Okay. Modern day.
We run away from it, and that it's dark. I try to think of the similarities between the big fish and depression. It's dark. You may see a light sometimes. You're by yourself. You may hear sounds and noises of things happening on the outside, but you're not really feeling it. It's not really affecting you because you're protected. Protection is a double-edged sword sometimes. Sometimes protection brings healing. Other times it stops the good things from getting in.
I can see that. Yeah.
And even to that point, while he was in the belly of the whale, God was still preparing and making way for him to get where he needed to get to.
Wow.
So it's like we can try to run all we want.
That calling is for you.
But that calling is strong. And God gonna make a way.
And you chosen.
And when you're chosen, you have no choice but to answer the call.
Oh, man. I think that's why we're here in this room together, man. I don't know. Dude, and I think I know why this conversation, like this podcast, has been kind of a little intimidating, right? It's because when we first got in here, we was talking, we was vibing, but it was a lot of things that I wanted to hit on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, that's the podcast in and of itself. It's like, what if I wish the cameras was already rolling. That's how it always be.
Right.
So with that said, right, we were talking about, man, just... I told you, I was watching some of your episodes on the Journey Up podcast. If you guys have not tuned in, go ahead. It's all about resilience. If you guys are, like we just talked about depression or anxiety, you need to overcome, man, he has stories on. So please go check that out. So with that said, you're a leader. I know you want to go places. I know you got things to do. I checked out that you want to help the homeless, right? These are huge things, and they're not just going to be done overnight.
Yeah.
And so, as we were, you came here, I'm setting up, and I'm just like, man, why are you so hard on yourself? Because right now, dude, you him. Some people be like, man, you're him. They probably see all the things that you're doing, and they're like, but so where does that come from? Because I have a follow-up question for that, but why are you so hard on yourself, man?
Job's not finished.
Okay. You kind of standing like Kobe, too, when he said that. I ain't like, you sitting up like him, too, when he said that. But,
no, seriously.
Yeah.
I may have won a couple games, but I didn't win the championship. It may be game 4 in the series, and we up 3-2 or 3-1 or whatever. But I ain't won the championship yet. And I know the impact that I have made thus far is nowhere compared to the impact I will make in the end. So I got to keep going. And if I take my foot off the gas now, I don't know where I'll end up. And I could definitely do better at showing and giving myself grace. Because in my 26 years of life, I've done a lot. I've done more than a lot of people have dreamed about doing. But you and I both know once you do things, it's kind of an emptiness that's attached to actually doing the thing. And it's like, that was good. And the good feeling lasts for a moment.
That little dopamine rush,
whatever. Yeah. But then immediately, it's like, okay, what's next? I got to lock back in. Sometimes I wish I could be easier on myself, but other times it's like, no, you got to be hard on yourself. Because you're not only impacting your own life, there are other people's lives at stake. If you take your foot off the gas, these people may not get what it is they need to be liberated. And since I know that my goal is to liberate the people who think that they're in bondage mentally, I know that I have to keep going. And also, I asked God that. Like, why me being a person who is, to most people, very peaceful? People tell me all the time, like, you give off just an aura of peace. You act as if like nothing affects you. Some people call it nonchalant. Some people just say
stoic, maybe.
In a way, controlled. As God, I'm like, why me? Why do I have to experience these low moments as well? These bouts with depression, these bouts with anxiety. And what made the most sense to me was because in order to free people, sometimes you have to go through it with them. Moses was free when he grew up in the house of Egypt, with the house of Pharaoh. God called Moses into bondage with the children of Israel so he can lead them to freedom. So sometimes you may be able to experience the freedom because you know what that tastes like. But sometimes you may have to get pushed into slavery, bondage, so you can know what that feels like. So you can pull people out of it because you've been there before. So I know God has me on this journey of understanding what it's like to experience these low moments. But one thing he hasn't done is taken my hope, which is why I know that I'm still here.
Man, you said that resonated with me. That hope, that last part you just stated. You spoke on mentally. So when you say you're helping individuals, is that everyone, or is that particularly people that just look like you? Or because I try to always help people that look like me, given the fact that, like, okay, let's be aware of where we are right now.
Yeah.
Time and place.
Yeah.
History, right? So what does that mean, like, when you say that?
For me, what looks like me goes so much further than what meets the eye. Like when I said earlier, when someone, if I'm talking to someone, like, you don't just see me, but you see my soul. I look to help the ones whose souls are crying. The ones who are weeping and asking and begging to be liberated, to be freed. I look for those because there are people out here who don't want to be free and they're looking for the pathway. I try to be the light that guides people down the tunnel towards freedom. So I'm trying to free anybody who is on the journey, who is lost, who is looking for a solution, who is looking to be found. I try to be that piece that leads them to freedom. And not just them, but even the ones who don't know, who maybe have accepted their lives of bondage, mental slavery. The ones who say, you know what, this is it. I'm just going to live like this. My goal for them is to share some perspective. You don't have to be a dead man alive. You can open your eyes and you can live. You can open your eyes and you can do everything that you've hoped to do. You can revive the dreams that you have set beside because you didn't think that you were good enough. And there's a lot of people. One of my favorite quotes ever is Benjamin Franklin, I think it was. If it wasn't him, who cares? It's a dead person. They said most people die at 25 but aren't buried till they're 75. And my goal is to revive the ones who are dead at 25 so they could live before they are buried at 75. That's why I'm here. That's my mission. To serve the underserved. To get the people who don't see themselves to see themselves. To help carry the bags that people think are too heavy for them to carry. And maybe they are too heavy for them to carry. If I could just carry it for a moment until they regain the strength so they can carry it themselves afterwards, I've done a good job.
Tirus, you talk about just wanting to help people out, freeing those that want to be freed. You know, and that's something I think I see that in people when I just walk around. It's like, you ain't even got to tell me. I can just see, like, a cry for help, or, you know, you probably you can explain or articulate it better than I can, but it's like, you know, you walk around and you could just see someone and, like, you ain't got to tell me, bro. I already know.
Their souls are broken.
And so, is that something, because, like, Tirus has to do Tirus. Like, you got to work, you got a job, you got to, you know, make sure you're good, family, etc., right? But, I mean, when you're just going out on your day-to-day basis and you know, because you have the capability to see this, you're not stopping by everyone, right? How does that look for you?
It's hard. It's heavy. Very heavy. Because I do think that I could save everybody, but I know I can't. You know, there's a difference between thinking and knowing. I think. That's what I want to tell myself. That's what I want to believe, but I know that I can't do it. And I need to transition what I think to what I know so I can focus on doing what I can.
Have you always been like this wise growing up? Like, were you always just a listen? How were you growing up,
I
man?
remember
I'm curious.
I was like 7 years old. So my grandfather's a pastor. My father, my father minister.
Mm,
Growing up in the church,
mm-hmm.
I remember being 7 years old, and of course I would always listen. I was just always a listener, very curious. My granddad would be preaching. He'd be like, "There's nothing more precious that you could ask for than wisdom. Wisdom is more precious than silver and gold." And you know what they say. And I'm like, man, it's more precious than this stuff that these people paying a lot of money for. I'm about to go ask for some wisdom. And the Bible said, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask. It didn't have an age limit attached to that. So I remember being 7 years old, going up for, they do altar call at church, right? So I remember being 7 years old, walking up to the altar call, my granddad saying, "What is it that you want me to pray for you, son?" "Granddad, I want some wisdom." This young man said he wants some wisdom. And everybody stretched their hands to the front. Everyone stretched their hands to the front. He's sitting there praying for me for wisdom. And that's not just one time ask, it was a continuous, because you continue to hear
You're
that.
7.
I was 7. I remember like it was yesterday. I think I got baptized around that same age. And it wasn't the type of baptism, you know, my parents, they wasn't like, "Hey, you're going to get baptized on this day." It was me sitting there and I was like, I think I want to get baptized today. Then going up there was just like, "Yeah, I want to get baptized today." My parents were shocked and everything.
Wow.
But yeah, I've always been someone who's a thinker.
Conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's heavy. It's heavy. Solomon said in Ecclesiastes, with increased knowledge comes increased sorrow.
Whoa. And oh my man, he's dropping gems, y'all. Yeah.
The more you know, the more you feel, both good and bad.
Yeah, okay. So that takes me to something here because, you know, because knowledge, right? Knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they say knowledge is power, or knowledge is the potential to have power, at least. And with that said, I also go to, you know, with more power comes more responsibility. And so now that you're acquiring this knowledge, you seek wisdom at the age of 7. You seeking for it. You asking for it. Pray for me. I need this. And so like the leadership role, the responsibilities, how have you been able to just navigate through that all through your life journey and you being able to see broken souls? How has that been for you?
What grounds me is that the people need me. You can't neglect how you feel, because people know that because you know that you need people and people need you. It's like we have this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't show up, people don't get served.
Yeah.
So that grounds me. I have to remind myself constantly, Tirus, the people need you. Tighten up, Tirus. And sometimes the weight does get heavy. My boss at work will be like, I've learned how to manage it well. But there are points and periods in my life to where it just becomes so heavy that I wouldn't be able to put that mask on and hide it. And my countenance would be low.
Mm-hmm.
And my boss would be like, my boss has been a great mentor in my life. I've known him for around 8 years. He's been a great person to help lead me and help me like guide my emotions. He's not an emotional person at all. I mean, there's some moments, but he's more like straight. He's like straight logic all the time, just logic. So he helps sometimes add logic to how I feel. And one time he reminded me when I was feeling very low, he's like, there are people depending on you to show up how you're supposed to show up. And that reminded me to tighten up. You can deal with your emotions. Make sure you deal with your emotions in the right place at the right times. Because people are depending on you to be who you're supposed to be. And another one of my bosses, I was assistant manager at Finish Line. I think it was like 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
And we got into it a couple of times because I would always see things one certain way. And I would skip a lot of the parts in the middle and just go straight to the end, the part that I see was most efficient. And sometimes this particular instance, he told me to go to the back to check if we had some shoes. Now, we both knew we didn't have them shoes back there. We know we showed out in the morning, but protocol is to go back and to bring back some other shoes to see if they wanted them.
Yeah.
Now, me being me, young 18, 19 years old, thinking that I know everything, I'm like, listen, Alex, I'm not about to go back there because we ain't got these shoes and they came for these retro 3s that just came out. And you about to waste these people's time. You about to waste my time. I'd rather just serve the customers that's here. And we kind of had that conversation like out on the floor in front of other associates. And then I went to the back, or he asked somebody else to go to the back, and they did it without even asking no questions. Then I went back there, and he came back there. He's like, you can't be doing that. If I say do something, you got to do it, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I clocked out, went home. Next day, we had a store meeting, a team meeting, and he talked to me. And he's like, I'm hard on you because you don't know how many people are watching you. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know how many people are watching. These people don't care about what I'm doing. He's like, believe me, I see how people act and how they react when you do certain things. And as a leader, you have to follow protocols and you have to do certain things because you don't know how what you do is affecting the people who are behind you, the people whom you are leading. And I remind myself that constantly. There are people who are depending on me to show up and be who I'm supposed to be. So I have to learn how to deal with my emotions better. Because, when we make decisions off of emotion strictly, emotion clouds judgment, right?
Absolutely.
So we have to learn how to manage our emotions in a way to where they're not clouding our judgment and they're not stopping us from making the correct decisions. That's one thing I'm still balancing out. I'm finding harmony in.
Yeah. Can you talk about this particular moment at you were finish line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this mentor of yours, clearly his awareness of people's perception of, maybe even just how other team members looked up to you. But maybe would you say you were aware of other people looking up to you? Because I think you said that you didn't think people were even.
I think this goes back to the question you asked earlier, why am I so hard on myself?
Mm-hmm.
They're in alignment there. Some other people have a clear idea or perception of how I am versus me and how I view myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes people see me for who I am in the moment and they see how great I may be in that moment, whereas me only sees what I need to work on. I've been in the gym the past 7 months and I've gained like 20 pounds, a ridiculous amount of weight. And in my head, I'm like, man, I got to keep going. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And people like, Tirus, do you see where you were 6 months ago versus where you are now? And I'll tell them the same thing. Oh, job's not finished. I'm not where I want to be. So yeah, I think for sure he and also my boss now, and also there's been a lot of people, even my father, I'm sure, saw different things in me that I didn't totally see in myself. And due to that, I would try to shade my light instead of just letting my light shine. Because I don't know what it is, fear, insecurity, all these different things go into, letting the light shine. But you have to let your light shine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a light is no good under a shade unless that's the point. But most of us are blocking the lights when the lights are meant to be shining so you can lead people. And if you're a light, you have so much power. And everybody is a light. Everybody has the potential to share their time, their attention, their energy to help somebody else's life be better. And my job as a leader, as somebody who believes in the power of people, is to get people to understand that no matter what they do or who they are, their lives have value, A, but B, what can we do to increase your value? What can we do to make you an even better leader? Where are the spots, like these people who have seen things in me and challenged me and sharpened me to become better? Where are these places, these blind spots on you that I can see, that I can sharpen within you to make you a more efficient leader? Because there are people dependent on you. We're all leaders under some circumstance. Whether you're an older cousin, older brother, older friend, somebody is looking at everything that you do and they're being influenced by it. Whether they know your name or they don't know your name. The way we walk outside on the street, they say perception is everything, right? We both know perception doesn't really mean anything without understanding. But there is power in the things and how we move, how we act, what we say, how we say it. There's a lot of power in that. So how could we mold ourselves to be present, one, and also to show up the way we're supposed to show up?
Yeah. Man, and man, you on point today, brother. You are on point today. And so I also want to go back to just like, you know, you spoke on just being there to show up for others. You have to show up as Tirus Duncan, like, because people they need the best version of Tirus.
People are dependent on you to be who you know that you're capable of being.
Man. And so, you know, I want to go back to something you said earlier, just knowing that you need to be there for people. Because for me, you know, I grew up in this egotistical, man, I got to do for self. I got it, base got it. I'm going to do everything myself. Watch out. I got it. You know what I mean? And so with that said, but I have the capability to help a lot of people. And so here we are shooting Fresh P podcast. We invite Tirus, and I'm sitting here like I already know I got to go back and do some homework on this episode because you it's a lot of game that you know that I'm so happy that I even met you. You know, maybe you were unlocking it because I feel like I'm chosen to be a leader for my community. I had people DM me on Instagram like, bro, we see you.
Yeah.
Keep going. Like they really DM me, but because I'm really on this entrepreneurial path. And so when I'm getting at basically is like from a young age, man, you just always knew that was your journey, man, was to be there for people and find a way to Tirus to always show up as his best. Like, was that always like that, even young?
I didn't choose.
You didn't choose.
It just happens.
Dang, man. So you was just wise young, bro. Like, you just knew. Because, like, you know, I'm 7, bro. I'm probably playing the Nintendo DS. I'm so serious. You know, I'm not thinking about, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, but dude, you are a powerful man. Like I said, when I met you at the back-to-school drive, you, Damon, and Jashawn, and Mr. Rai, y'all hosted, and forgive me for everyone else that I didn't name, but like I said, you left the impact on me to the point where, you know, fast forward to today, and you're telling me, well, that's what you told me literally, bro, how do you want to be remembered? And I just remember that day. I just remember, like, I'm dang near tearing up. Like, not even like you said nothing crazy. Just like, I felt like, maybe I felt seen and heard to that you did that. And that's my second encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
I mean, how many times do we have conversations with people to hear or to talk about them?
To hear or to talk about them?
Most of the time we talk to people, we're talking about something else. But what about the person?
Fresh P podcast. And man, do you on point? Yeah, because that's the whole point. I really wanted to get your perspective on just everybody's somebody, but just how you even perceive life. Because like I said, I think you perceive life in a unique way to the extent where these lost souls need to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, there are way too many people in the world for us to feel so lonely. Sounds strange, alone in a world full of people, right? Concept I've been battling with for the past, I don't know how long, 5, 10 years. How can one be alone in a world full of people? And I'm not talking about one, I'm talking about myself too. So I've experienced that. With I've never been alone. I've never lived alone. I wasn't even in the womb alone. Because I got my twin. Literally, I've never been alone. So understanding that, but still having these bouts with loneliness is strange. And it's like, how and why is this? And how do we solve this? Solve this by being intentional, having intentional conversations, seeing people for who they are, and not just seeing people for who they are, but pushing them for who they could be, even farther than what they currently see. Because sometimes people can only see as far as they could see, and they need a boost to help them see what's even further. So how could you even be the boost to help promote that there is something even farther than what your eyes can see? I was with Miles Monroe one time, and he's talking about the power of vision. And he told a story about a little girl who couldn't see over the top of, I think they were on a cruise ship. She couldn't see over the top of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Her father picked her up, and then she could see the whole ocean. And she said, wow, I can see farther than my eyes can see. How many of us just need that boost to help us see past the thing that is blocking us from seeing everything that's on the other side of the block? Some people don't even know. I need to awaken the people so that they can know that there is something past what they currently see. There's a world outside of the jungle that you're currently in. Once you escape that jungle and you look back, you're like, wow, I was actually in the jungle. That's when you start the path to liberation and freedom.
Man, I'm very impressed by like just knowledge of self. I think that's, we can go study science, et cetera, but knowing who you are, where you come from, I think
Everything.
is everything, right?
Yeah.
And that it's like you Dude, my next question really is, man, where do you see yourself in the should we put a time on it? In the future, what let's say 5 to 10 years, let's keep it at 5 years, where do you see Tirus Duncan?
In 5 years, I'll be 32, 35, 33. I can't do math, clearly.
Oh.
No, my head's messed up. I don't know how old I am. My birthday next week.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I turned 30, 34. I'll just say
In 5 years.
No, not 34. I'm tripping. 33.
Yeah.
Where do I see myself? Hopefully continuing to inspire, influencing people to become more. Speaking to people, continuing on a podcast, or having these conversations that mean something, having these real life experiences that push people to be more, challenging the perspective of what people currently see of themselves.
Challenging.
I see myself being who I am today, but on a grander scheme.
Okay, I like that. Cause dude, I really see like you just really in Florida, I don't know, all over the world, like all over the world, he said, I'm gonna put it because I can. He put the world on. Like, I really can see you doing that and just helping people. So I like that. And I can see that 5 years. Yeah. That's awesome. So with that said, where do I want to go now? Man, obviously, where do I want to go now? Okay, I definitely wanted to ask this one. Do you have any stories or moments that reaffirmed your path?
I think every day. I think this is a moment right here that reaffirms my path. Every day somebody tells me of the impact that I have on their life. Reaffirms that what I'm doing is worth it. When somebody tells me thank you for existing, that affirms that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. When somebody tells me my life is better because of you, that affirms me being in the right path, doing the right thing. When I'm challenged and I feel like giving up, that affirms that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. When I have these visions of what I see, what I say that little girl said, I can see farther than my eyes can see. When I have those moments, that affirms that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Because nothing worth having comes easy. So understanding that, the fact that this is hard, the fact that I wake up every day thinking how I can improve, not for myself, but for everybody else around me, affirms that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
You said even today. As you were speaking, it helped me realize something. Like, I'm listening to you, I'm learning from you as we go on. And I sit here and think, I say, as much as, like you said, the job's not finished yet. We haven't won the championship, right? That going back to being hard on yourself. But then at the same time, as I'm learning from you, I'm listening to you, I sit here and say, but you seem to really know and appreciate the little things.
It's everything. Life is nothing but details.
Life is nothing but details.
The most beautiful things are just the details. A picture isn't beautiful without that corner looking how it is, without that color being on the person's face how it is. Mona Lisa don't look like Mona Lisa without the shade looking like it looked. All the details. That your favorite movie is not your favorite movie without what happens at minute 17. Your favorite book is not your favorite book without page 3. Your favorite song is not your favorite song without the hi-hats and the 808s going crazy. All of that included creates the big picture that we all look at as life. And I understand that the small moments make up for everything. So I have to appreciate the moments.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cause as before we even started shooting off camera, right? I'm sitting there just like I'm gonna ask you something about just like um your self-talk. Like how do you talk to yourself? But clearly, like as I'm listening to you, it's not even reason for me to because I feel like due to the fact that you appreciate the little things and you say this conversation or when someone just simply says, thank you, man, I'm so glad you helped me out. And it seems like even though you're so hard on yourself, you still have that like fine balance.
Oh yeah, yeah. It has that harmony is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching this movie when I was a kid, and it was the good person, the bad person on the shoulder. Sometimes this person talking more, sometimes this person talking more. But what I've learned is I have the power to silence them both. And good and bad are both necessary for real. We need the sun and we need the moon. We need the rain and we need the clear days in order to promote growth. So both are necessary. The good one challenges the bad one. The bad one challenges the good one. A lot of people try to run away from the challenges, but the challenges is where the strength comes. We gain muscle after we train to failure, right? After you feel like you can't push no more. But that's because you've already pushed up until this point. Take some rest, do it all over again. That's where the strength comes.
Dude, at this point, man, I feel like this question I want to ask you, but it's like I'm gonna just say it. It's like because I already knew you was wise at a young age. You told me at 7 you sought wisdom, and you got baptized around that same time, and because like I started my YouTube channel, and I'm like I want to challenge the mindsets of others because that's the journey that I feel like I need to be on, especially being a leader. So did that always like you challenging others and you challenging yourself, the good and the bad? Was that always with you? Even
I got a lot of trouble. Ask my dad.
a lot of
I got in a lot of trouble
Tirus?
just by challenging.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah.
My favorite question has always been why.
Mm.
It got to make sense to me. People in authority don't like the question why.
People, yeah.
Most times because I said so. And for me, I'm like, nah, you got to prove it to me. Why?
Hey,
And
man.
it's not even like me trying to like get people to prove it to me, but I just want to understand.
Yeah.
Like, why shouldn't be I can ask what, who, when, how, all these questions, but I can't ask why. You can't ask why because a lot of people don't know why.
Yeah.
They don't want to be pointed out their own flaws. A lot of people get authority and they don't necessarily need authority. So they use that power as, oh, because I said so. Because, just go do it. For me, I was like, why? To my parents, to my teachers, I need to understand before I make this decision. And I'm trying to let go of that because I also have that same relationship with God. A lot of things I don't understand, I'll be like, why? Well, I'm learning there's power in submitting. A lot of times we'll lose power by holding out when all you need to do is submit to gain the power that you're looking for. And you don't need to know everything. There's peace in knowing that. I don't need to know everything. Some things you just got to let be because there's peace when it comes to that. And I believe God is necessary because when you've done all you can and you don't have anything else to lean on, what do you do then?
Yeah. You don't want to put yourself in that. Yeah.
But if you at least have a metric of hope, if you have somebody that you could depend on or lean on, whether you believe in God or not, people have their moments. To believe in a being that's higher than self, to have power that we don't have, helps bring people peace.
Yeah. And I will tell you this episode here, man, has been very challenging. Like, I'm really trying to like ask the right questions. And man, you're a powerful individual, man. That's all I can say to you.
I hear that often. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea.
Cause like I really like podcasts and I feel like I could just run my mouth, but ask, really impactful, significant, and genuine questions. However, once I get to a certain point, I'm like, nah, we cut the tape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this time, I'm like, I want to keep going because it's like like you're about challenging, I'm about challenging.
Yeah.
So how do we continue to expound? Because you're about wanting to help the lost souls, right? And so my next thing would be like someone that, obviously if they do catch this podcast, they'll probably learn a lot and, they might find the right nugget
Yeah.
that they need. But I guess maybe, okay, how can maybe someone that looks up to you, right? This is their first time is catching you on this platform, this podcast, and maybe they get influenced, they get impacted to now they get this power. Like, wow, I just learned from Tirus or Base, whoever, and maybe they're like, well, how do I go and do the same for others? Because obviously they can't do what Tirus can do.
Mm-hmm.
How do they go about like, and they see that they're, because I don't know, me personally, I feel like there's a certain, we got leaders and then we got some people that, that's their lane.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that saying, someone else that's a leader, but they maybe haven't found themselves yet or et cetera, how can, after they've learned something here, how should they go about like really owning that leadership
Mm-hmm.
role, finding that calling?
Nobody can be you like you. And you know exactly who you are. You can't keep running from the things that make you feel alive. For me, teaching makes me feel alive. Talking makes me feel alive. Learning from others make me feel alive. Having conversations make me feel alive. And if that's not you, that ain't you. If that's not your lane, that ain't your lane. Find your lane and stay in it. Because if you try to get out, you crash.
Okay. I should have asked you what you did as a professor. You're a teacher?
No. I mean, yeah, I teach it every day.
Oh, man.
Not a teacher like that, but I'm a teacher. I teach everybody.
I understand
Yeah,
now.
you
I
get it.
understand. Yeah, I was like, okay, that's why, because I feel like, man, hold on, this dude. You better make sure you ask the right question. I'm not saying that's the vibe, but it's like, that's, I feel like in not even a classroom setting, but I really feel like you done set the vibe of this podcast to the point where it's like, man, you better come with it. It's better. And that's, I respect that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we don't need that, out in the world. I'd rather have this intentionality
Absolutely.
and challenging.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was like, man, this dude's a teacher. I was listening to you, and I'm like, okay, I see why, man. 'Cause I feel like I'm in here being a student, but I'm trying to ask the right questions.
Uh-huh.
We trying to figure out how old is Tirus in 5 years.
There's no such thing as the right question.
Yeah.
Sometimes people be asking silly questions. I'd be like, go think about that, and you got the answer inside of you. Sometimes people just want to take the lazy way and just don't want to think.
Right.
But other times, if you have any type of question, what I said earlier, there's no such thing as a bad question. Prescott, man, Elder Prescott, rest his soul. He used to always repeat that. If you ask a question, you may be a fool for a second, but if you never ask a question, you may be a fool for a lifetime. So you got to ask the questions.
Absolutely.
Who's to say that's the right question or the wrong question?
All right, y'all. It's okay. Just be the fool. Ask the question. Back from my ad break. Anyways, yeah, I think people. I think see me. I don't mind being a fool.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't. Especially when like you're really trying to pursue something.
Man, the fool gets better results. Honestly, I wish I would find myself to be the fool more. As we talked earlier, the fool is often the predecessor of the master.
Yeah.
In order for you to know, you have to first accept that you don't know. And not just accept that you don't know, but you have to admit that you don't know so you can learn from someone who does know. So you accept you don't know, then you admit that you don't know, then you work on gaining the knowledge to know. So now you know.
Do you think that concept is something that it spreads all across the board, whether it's like spirituality, financially?
Everything.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Everything. We're all a fool to something.
Right.
And that doesn't have to be negative. I'll even say we're all ignorant to something. If you don't want to use the word fool, because I know it has a negative connotation.
Right.
But so does ignorant. But if you actually Google what ignorant means, it literally means to not know. So if you're ignorant to something, all that means is you have opportunity to learn. And if you want to become wise, accept first that you don't know. It is literally that simple.
Hey.
And then work on the path, just like being in the gym. If you want to be strong, accept the fact that you're weak right now. And that's not a problem. It's actually a strength.
You know, Tyrus, dude, you're really helping me because I see really how we can help people even within this episode because, you know, oftentimes we don't want to ask the question. We're scared to.
Yeah.
And so what do you think people should know or should know, you know, don't worry about the other people. How do they tune out the noise and just, you know, if they really have that desire, go seek it? How do they overcome that?
Be committed to the whatever you're aiming at. Have something to aim towards. Have a goal to aim towards and be committed to that goal. And everything else that comes is only a distraction. It is either going to help you get there or it's going to hinder you from getting there. Ask yourself, is this helping me or is this hindering me? Whether it be relationships, whether it be the questions not asked, whether it be the actions that you commit, whether it be the actions that you don't commit. Is this helping you get to where you want to get to, or is it hindering you from getting where you want to get to? But first and foremost, you better know where it is that you want to get to. Like, have clear expectation. Have a clear goal that you're aiming towards. It's hard to measure anything if you don't know or have anything that you're aiming towards. So create something, create an idea. And you have the power as the producer of your own life, as the director, as the writer, as the storyteller of your own life. You have the power to decide what story you're going to tell. So make sure that you're telling the story that you want to. Direct your own life. Because if you're not, you let somebody else direct it. And if you don't like the results, who's going to be mad at the premiere? Only you, because it's only you there. So yeah, be sure where it is that you're aiming towards and don't let anything stop you from getting there. Be committed. Be disciplined. Show up. When things get hard, don't give up. Most people don't get to where they want to get to because they stop on the journey. But if I'm committed to going to Florida, if I say tomorrow I'm going to Florida and I'm going to drive down there, I'm going to Florida. And if my tire pop, I'm getting a new tire because I said I'm going to Florida. And if my car break down some more, we either about to get this car fixed or I'm buying another one because I said I'm going to Florida. How committed are you to getting where you want to get to? Are you going to turn around when things get hard? Are you going to pivot because somebody else said, nah, you shouldn't go there? I heard about how it is down there. It's not nice down there. It's dangerous over there. Are you going to listen to the voices of others? Or are you going to accept the journey and the path that comes along the journey to get to where it is that you want to get to? Because that choice is yours. You're the producer of your life. You are the director. You get to make the decisions, nobody else.
And you know, as I'm listening to you, dude, the mindset. I want to go to the mindset now because, I mean, you know, like you said, everyone's told you you're powerful, but clearly a mindset. I think everything starts from the mind.
Everything starts at the mind.
Right. And so would that also have been at the age of 7 or even prior where you think you've been developing and growing in this mindset? Because obviously, man.
I'm thinking that's life. That's from childhood all the way up. We don't have so much control until we do. So even the things that happened before then, even the things I probably don't remember, I have to attribute everything to my surroundings, to my parents, to my family, to my grandparents, to my uncles and aunts, to the people I went to school with, to my teachers. Everything that happens, I don't like to particularly say everything happens for a reason, but I do understand that.
I like this. I say that all the time. I say that all the time. I would like to know why you say that because maybe you know, I got you here now. I'm curious. Man, don't break my...
I think I be getting too technical on that.
Okay, so we leave that alone?
We can go there.
Nah, we gonna leave it alone because we gonna do it off the camera because
let's go there.
Oh my God, bro. I love saying that, bro.
I mean, it depends. It depends on what you mean by everything. And it also depends on what you mean by the reason.
Yeah, I can see why you say get technical. Yeah, because I just look at it as the big picture.
Yeah, because for me, if we're looking at everything, we're looking at the reason, things happen because people make decisions, good and bad. So if you get a bad reason, maybe if you get bad results, maybe you committed bad actions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want good results, you need to commit good actions. People do terrible things and get terrible results because they did terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
Not because everything happens for a reason, just because they did things that they wasn't supposed to do. And it led them, excuse me, it led them to a path of where they didn't want to go to because they did something they wasn't supposed to. It's a great message of hope, though, you know.
But I think that's why it does happen though. Like you saying, simply put, everything happens for a reason. You do bad actions and you get bad results.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah, but when do most people say that everything happens for a reason?
it probably when something bad happened or
There's
something.
no probably.
Huh?
I said there's no probably.
So you saying that for a fact? That's when people say it.
People say everything happens for a reason when bad things happen most of the time. Someone loses their job. Oh, it's okay. Everything happens for a reason.
That is usually how it goes.
Someone car break down. It's okay. Everything happens for a reason.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna still hold on to me because I really truly believe. Because there's times where I do agree with you. It is typically when something bad happens.
But
like
then
you
I be
said.
going extreme. You know me. I'm crazy. I be going extreme. I'm like, okay, the baby got murdered at the age of 1. What's the reason for that?
And it's a reality. We see it all
You know
the
what
time.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kid got raped at the age of 3. What's the reason for that? We talking about everything. We talking about everything.
Right.
Can we find meaning in everything? Sure. Is the meaning always good? No.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't want to get too deep in it. You know what I mean? So with that said, man, because I've learned a lot from you today. I think one thing that I really know, because you even, as I was prepping for here, I'm sitting there like, I'm really like looking back into why did I even start this? I swear, because after I'm prepping for this episode. I'm looking into Tirus Duncan. What I need to know. So then I'm like, I didn't even forgot why I even started this. I kid you not. So now I'm going back because I'm reading your mission statement, how you want to make people, and then it reminded me, bro. It really reminded me because I get to flying the drones, I get to doing all the cool equipment. You get lost in it sometimes. It's so fun.
Lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. So then, as I'm prepping, I'm reading the mission statement of everybody, somebody, and I'm like, yo, this dude's on point. Like he really focused, directed, but at the end of the day, it stemmed from all because you know how it feels to feel when you're not being seen or heard. Yeah. And then that took me back to like going and say, I'm taking pictures but why am I doing this? And then that's when I felt like, I feel like I'm really in alignment with this man's mission, vision. It just really resonates with me. And so I say that to say because all the gems that you dropped on this episode, it's a lot. Like I told y'all, I hope y'all had y'all pen and paper. You know what I mean? Anyway, you can replay it, right? It works.
Yeah,
it works
run it back.
Right? Run it back. You know what I mean? Like he about to get his championship. The job ain't finished yet, but
not finished.
I'm sure when you get that chip, you gonna run it right back. The mission it's not over, right?
Yeah.
Right. So with that said, what do you want people to take away from this episode?
Man. You don't need to do anything to be worthy. Your worth is not attached to what it is that you have done or what it is that you haven't done yet. Your worth is attached to the fact that you're alive. And we can do things to add to your value, but you already have value within due to the fact that you're alive. And somebody does care. Someone loves you. Someone is waiting on you to be who you are supposed to be, who you are called to be. Answer the call. And that's what I want to leave people with. This is your call to answer the call, whether it be you, whether it be me, whether it be anybody else who is listening. We know the things that we're running from. And if we feel like something is pulling us back to it. Every time we try to run away from it, maybe we're not supposed to run away from it, but we're supposed to run to it. Maybe this is the path of liberation for the people that we love. Maybe this is our exodus of the bondage that we all go through, mentally, physically, whatever it may be. Stop running from it. You're strong enough to fight the battles. And if you don't feel like you're strong enough, make sure you get around some people who you know can hold you up when you fall, when you're down. Iron sharpens iron, for sure. Community is everything. Who you surround yourself with, how you think about yourself, how you think about others, how you think about God, all of that equates to how you believe in yourself. And if you want anything in life, first and foremost, you better have some confidence in you. Because with confidence in yourself, anything is possible. And I don't even want to get all the way there, but confidence in yourself, you can do all that you hope that you can. Or even if you don't get to where you hope to be, you can get started on that road. And if you have to pivot in the moment, you pivot. But you're capable of doing it. And I know everybody loves the excuse. Oh, but it's so hard. This is so hard. And I often like to remind people, you can do hard things.
Man, I really like that message. Yeah, I really like that message. I think listeners, if you guys tuned in, you know, we got a very conscious individual, someone that likes to think. He likes to ask questions.
I don't like to, but I'm called to.
You heard him. With that said, he challenges others as well as himself. I'm honored to have him here on Fresh Pea Podcast. Like I said at the beginning, a unique perspective. I can't wait to share this with everyone. I mean, even that last message you just resonated with, you know, just know that you don't have to do anything. Just be here, be present, be in the moment. You don't have to, you know, make millions. And that's something I really needed to hear as well.
Yeah.
And so with that said, Tirus, can you please let people know where they can find you at?
I'll be around.
Yeah.
Nah, you can find me on Instagram at the Great TPD, YouTube Tirus Duncan, the Journey Up podcast, and also, like I said, I'll be around.
He'll be around. It's not gonna be hard. Everybody, I mean, it's in the everybody. Come on now, y'all. So with that said, y'all, I want to thank y'all for tuning into the 9th episode of Fresh Pea Podcast, right? Where we're just learning from the perspective of others. And I'm your host, Baserou, also known as Base. See you on the next one.